Hello, I'm TikTok Tony. On the camera is TikTok Linda. We're going to show you today how to install your Vienna regulator. When it comes in the packing, these are the items you need to look for. The case, the headpiece, pendulum, the movement, 2 weights and the winding crank. I'll also include these instructions on how to adjust your clock for accurate timekeeping. So the first thing we're going to do is to install the case on the wall and get it approximately level. First thing is make sure the latch is closed. We don't want the door opening while we're moving around the case. And what we're going to do is install this part here on a nail on the wall. Does not have to be into a stud, but it has to be capable of holding 30 pounds. So you can't just have a pin in a drywall, it has to be quite substantial. Once it's up there, take a spirit level, put the spirit level against the side and adjust it for approximately level. Then take the pendulum, open the case door, take the pendulum, and let's just talk about the pendulum for a second. At the top there's called the suspension spring. This is the very fragile piece of the pendulum, the only fragile piece of the clock, and that slot goes in that slot there. That hangs in that slot. The pendulum hangs down. At the bottom of the pendulum is a screw. This screw, when you turn it this way, will move the pendulum bob up on the rod, or when you turn it this way, will move the pendulum bob down on the rod. These instructions which I showed you earlier will show you how to do that. But first of all, let's mount the pendulum in the case. So the suspension spring goes in that slot and rests like that. Now if the clock is level, what you'll notice is that the pendulum hangs in the center, approximately the center of the beat scale. So the next thing we need to do is to look at the movement. When we look at the movement, let's look at the chiming to start with. This is the chiming hammer and there's the chiming rod. The chiming hammer and rod should have a gap between them. The rod should not touch the hammer, or the hammer should not touch the rod. If it does, it will resonate with a dull rattle. If there's a gap, the hammer comes down, hits the rod and comes back up, and it's a sweet, clear tone. Next thing to notice about the movement is this piece here. The movement seats on the seat boards here goes in the side of the seat board holders here. But this piece here, this pin, should also go through this hole in the pendulum. Now, if you notice the holes on a threaded rod, and there's 2 nailed nuts, one on either side. Turn one, the other turn, so it doesn't matter which one you turn. But when you turn any of them, this pin will move left and right on that rod, on that pin, threaded rod. What that does is it adjusts the clock for beat. Beat is the evenness of the tick and the tock. It should be tick, tock, not tick tock, tick tock. If it's even, the clock will run good, run well. If it's not even, the clock will stop. I'll show you and we'll listen as we install this in there. So let's install the clock. Movement into the case and if that pin doesn't go in straight away, you just move it to the side, make it good go. Push the movement all the way in the back and make sure the door closes without interference with the hands or on the bezel. Okay, so it's in correctly. So now what to do is we're going to install a time side weight, just the time side. And the reason we do that is because if we install a time side weight, we can then gives us access to this knurled nut here to make the beat, to make the final adjustment on the beat. So you'll have to listen to this normally, but if I amplify this for the purposes of the video, get my amplifier on there. If you listen very carefully, let me make this sound better. You can see and listen, and that's even. My meter says it's 2%, which means it's going to run great. So let me show you an example of what's out of beat. If I move the case, it has the same effect as moving the knurled nut. So if I move the bottom of the case left and right, you'll hear that that's out of beat. That's 40%, and that will not run. And it will be the same if you move the case the other way. So turning this knurled nut and moving the bottom of the case have the same effect. But of course you want the case to be square. So what we do is we make the case square and then turn the nut correctly. Now this is adjusted correctly in California here, but when you get it, you may have to do some fine adjustments of your own. Next thing we will do, we'd install the chime weight. And now the clock should chime on the half hour and on the hour. Should strike the hour. Good. Okay. The headpiece just goes on with these dowels into here. And the key in the bottom and the paper that shows you how to adjust your clock for accurate timekeeping. This is also on my website if you want to look at it electronically. Close the door. And that's everything. Thank you very much.